The Bully of Brocas Court, Part 2. The baronet's voice had risen to a sudden screech of surprise and of anger. At this point, the road dips down into a hollow heavily shaded by trees, so that at night it arches across like the mouth of a tunnel. At the foot of the slope, there stand two great stone pillars, which, as viewed by daylight, are lichen-stained and weathered, with heraldry devices on each, which are so mutilated by time that they are mere protuberances of stone. An iron gate of elegant design, hanging loosely upon rusted hinges, proclaims both the past glories and the present decay of Brocas Old Hall, which lies at the end of the weed-encumbered avenue. It was from the shadow of this ancient gateway that an active figure had sprung suddenly into the centre of the road and had, with great dexterity, held up the horses, who ramped and pawed as they forced back upon their haunches. "Here, Roy, you old Chatswillier!" cried a high-stridden voice. "I've a little word to say to this here slap-up Corinthian before he goes any further." A second man had emerged from the shadows and, without a word, took hold of the horses' heads. He was a short, thick fellow, dressed in a curious brown many-capped overcoat, which came to his knees with gaiters and boots beneath it. He wore no hat, and those in the dog cart had a view, as he came in front of the side lamps, of a surly red face, with an ill-fitting lower lip, clean shaven, and a high black cravat swathed tightly under the chin. As he gripped the leathers, his more active comrade sprang forward and rested a bony hand upon the side of the splashboard, while he looked keenly up with a pair of fierce blue eyes at the faces of the two travellers, the light beating full upon his own features. He wore a hat low upon his brow, but in spite of its shadow, both the baronet and the pugilist could see enough to shrink from him, for it was an evil face, evil but very formidable, stern, craggy, high-nosed, and fierce, with an inexorable mouth which bespoke a nature which would neither ask for mercy nor grant it. As to his age, one could only say for certain that a man with such a face was young enough to have all his virility and old enough to have experienced all the wickedness of life. The cold, savage eyes took a deliberate survey first of the baronet and then of the young man beside him. "Eh, Roy, it's a slap-up Corinthian, same as I said," he remarked over his shoulder to his companion. "But this other is a likely chap. If he isn't a million cove, he ought to be. Anyhow, we'll try him out." "Look here," said the baronet, "I don't know who you are, except that you are a damned impertinent fellow. I'd put the lash of my whip across your face for twopence." "Stow that gammon, governor. It ain't safe to speak to me like that. I've heard of you and your ways," cried the angry soldier. "I'll teach you to stop my horses on the Queen's high road. You've got the wrong men this time, my fine fellow, as you will soon learn." "That's as it may be," said the stranger. "Mayhap, master, we may all learn something before we part. One or other of you has got to get down and put up your ends before you get any farther." Stevens had instantly sprung down into the road. If you want to fight, you have come to the right shop, said he. It's my trade, so don't say I took you unawares. The stranger gave a cry of satisfaction. Blow my dicky, he shouted. It is a Milne Cove show. Same as I said, no more chow bacons for us. But the real thing, well, young man, you have met your master tonight. Happen you never heard what Lord Longmore said of me? A man must be made special to beat you. Says ye. That's what Lord Longmore said. That was before the bull came along, growled the man in front, speaking for the first time. Stow your chaffing, Joe. A little more about the bull, and you and me will quarrel. He bested me once, but it's all betters and no takers that I glut am if ever we meet again. Well, young man, what do you think of me? I think you've got your share of cheek. Cheek? What's that? Impudence, bluff, gas, if you like. The last word had a surprising effect upon the stranger. He smote his leg with his hand and broke out into a high kneeing laugh, in which he was joined by his gruff companion. You have said the right word, my beauty, cried the latter. Gas is the word and no error. Well, there's a good moon, but the clouds are coming up. We had best use the light while we can. Whilst this conversation had been going on, the baronet had been looking with an ever growing amazement at the attire of the stranger. A good deal of it confirmed his belief that he was connected with some stables, though making every allowance for this. His appearance was very eccentric and old fashioned. Upon his head he wore a yellowish white top hat of long haired beaver, such as is still affected by some drivers of 14 hands, with a bell crown and a curling brim. His dress consisted of a short waisted swallow tail coat, snuff colored with steel buttons. It opened in front to show a vest of striped silk, while his legs were encased in buff knee breeches with blue stockings and low shoes. The figure was angular and hard, with a great suggestion of wiry activity. This bully of brokers was clearly a great character and the young dragoon officer chuckled as he thought what a glorious story he would carry back to the mess of this queer old world figure, and the thrashing which he was about to receive from the famous London boxer. Billy, the little groom, had taken charge of the horses, who were shivering and sweating. This way, said the stout man, turning towards the gate. It was a sinister place, black and weird, with the crumbling pillars and the heavy arching trees. Neither the baronet nor the pugilist liked the look of it. Where are you going then? This is no place for a fight, said the stout man. We have got as pretty a place as ever you saw inside the gate here. You couldn't beat it on Moleseyhurst. The road is good enough for me, said Stevens. The road is good enough for two Johnny Ross, said the man with the beaver hat. It ain't good enough for two slap up million coves like you and me. You ain't afraid, are you? None of you are 10 like you, said Stevens stoutly. Well then, come with me and do it as it ought to be done. Sir Frederick and Stevens exchanged glances. I'm game, said the pugilist. Come on then. The little party of four passed through the gateway behind them. In the darkness, the horses stamped and reared, while the voice of the boy could be heard as he vainly tried to soothe them. After walking 50 yards up the grass grown drive, the guide turned to the right through a thick belt of trees, and they came out upon a circular plot of grass. White and clear in the moonlight, it had raised bank, and on the farther side was one of those little pillared stone summer houses beloved by the early Georgians. What did I tell you? Cried the stout man triumphantly. Could you do better than this within 20 mile of town? It was made for it. Now, Tom, get to work upon him and show us what you can do. It had all become like an extraordinary dream. The strange men, their odd dress, their queer speech, the moonlit circle of grass, and the pillared summer house all wove themselves into one fantastic whole.
It was only the sight of Alf Stevens' ill fitting tweed suit and his homely English face surmounting it which brought the baronet back to the workaday world.